Have you ever questioned why so frequently those who cheat, manipulate, and trample on others manage to get so far ahead in life? Could there be a pattern that favors the most dishonest while leaving those who act with integrity behind? Today, we'll dive into the roots of this paradox and what it uncovers about our world, our psychology, and most importantly, our own sense of morality. Stay with me until the end to uncover not only why these individuals thrive, but also whether their power is ultimately as invincible as it appears. Throughout history, authoritarian rulers, unscrupulous businessmen, and cunning manipulators have accumulated vast wealth and prestige. We can easily point to tyrannical emperors, ruthless tycoons, and politicians who lie without hesitation, all wielding immense power and influence. But why does this happen repeatedly across different cultures and eras? At a deep level, humanity evolved under conditions of extreme survival, where being relentless could provide an immediate advantage when resources were scarce. It's difficult to admit, but the drive for competition often rewards those who have no qualms about fighting tooth and nail for power. Before we begin, I would appreciate it if you like this video. You can help me continue to spread these ancient wisdom lessons. If you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. And don't forget to comment your thoughts about the topic we are discussing. Does this mean that morality is a weakness, or are we only seeing one part of the story? We grow up hearing that good always triumphs over evil and that justice prevails in the end. This ideal appears in fairy tales, religions, and philosophies. However, when we face the real world, we realize that justice is not always guaranteed. That coworker who appropriates your ideas might get promoted instead of you. The corrupt politician may be re-elected time and time again, while honest people are left on the sidelines. Faced with this, many feel outraged and ask themselves, why should I keep playing by the rules if cheaters are the ones who get ahead? In that instant, we remember something crucial. The world doesn't automatically deliver rewards to virtue. Competition, influence, and power all become a game where the most deserving doesn't always come out on top. In the comments, share if you've ever been in a situation where someone dishonest took advantage of you. What were your reflections after going through that experience? The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche delved deep into the question of power in his works. He describes two forms of morality, the so-called master morality and slave morality. In master morality, we find values such as strength, determination, and conquest. These are individuals who create their own rules and don't seek approval to act. In slave morality, humility, empathy, and submission are upheld as fundamental virtues. Why does this distinction matter? Because for Nietzsche, the world is shaped by those who are inclined towards the will to power, the drive to overcome obstacles and impose their terms on reality. This doesn't mean everyone should become tyrants or resort to violence, but historically, slave morality, which glorifies obedience and renunciation, tends to leave the field wide open for the more aggressive and ambitious to dominate. Is the solution then to simply adopt master morality and abandon all empathy, or is there a point of balance that reconciles strength with principles? Imagine our ancestors fighting for food, shelter, and security in an environment where survival was precarious. Competitive advantages could often mean the difference between life and death. Bolder, colder individuals under pressure could frequently secure more resources for themselves. Over thousands of years, these strategies were refined, and today, in our corporate and political environments, we still carry these deep-seated impulses within us. Research shows that people with less empathy or greater risk tolerance tend to make bolder decisions, which can generate huge benefits, albeit at a high moral cost. This profile is often confused with innate leadership ability, but are those who don't care about collective well-being truly better leaders? History also gives us countless examples of tyrannical leaders who ended in spectacular downfall. Power left unchecked by ethical limits turns into disaster sooner or later. What remains is the question: how can we be strong without being devoured by our own ambition? Power itself is neither good nor bad. It is a tool. Just as fire can warm or destroy, it all depends on who wields it and for what purpose. Nietzsche saw this will to power as a creative force, a way to overcome limitations and evolve to our maximum potential. However, when the focus turns to subjugating others, power becomes corrupted and distorted. A leader who governs through terror may maintain control for a time, but lies on a roller coaster of insecurity, constantly fearful of being overthrown. When power turns into tyranny, its collapse is usually inevitable, as no one enjoys living under perpetual oppression. On the other hand, it's undeniable that societies have been structured in such a way that decision-makers are largely those who best manipulate the game of influence and sway. This leads us to the next critical question. If power is a double-edged sword, how can we prevent it from being monopolized by those who would misuse it for their own gain? The answer may lie in a shift in our collective mentality, or in the acquisition of power by those who combine firmness and long-term vision with a strong ethical foundation. Nietzsche proposes the figure of the Übermensch, or Superman, an individual who goes beyond prevailing moral standards to create a new way of seeing the world. This archetype doesn't settle for dogmas of submission, but also doesn't behave like a petty tyrant who needs to trample on others to feel strong. Instead of simply abandoning empathy altogether, the Übermensch transcends imposed morality, building their own values that balance ambition with responsibility. For them, power isn't about humiliating or dominating, but about expanding their creative capacity and elevating their spirit to new heights. This demands tremendous internal discipline, deep self-acknowledge, and the refusal to be defined by the judgment of others. So what would the world look like if we had more individuals willing to break free of these shackles? Is it possible in practice to embody a new form of morality that is both strong and just? Many believe there are only two options. Either you play dirty to win or you get left behind in the dust. But there is a third path, one that allows you to succeed without compromising your core principles. Let's examine some essential points for walking this path with integrity. Firstly, it's necessary to accept the competitive reality of the world we live in. This means recognizing that there are always conflicting interests at play and that the pursuit of power is very real. We must stop expecting kindness and generosity to be the sole criterion for success. Next, it's vital to develop what we might call strategic empathy. That is, understanding what motivates others, anticipating possible manipulations, and protecting yourself from them without resorting to malicious tactics yourself. Then it's absolutely crucial to strengthen your internal will and resolve by working on self-confidence and resilience. This enables you to face risks head-on, defend your ideas with conviction, and create your own opportunities instead of waiting for favors or permissions from others. There will also inevitably be moments when it will be necessary to exercise firm control and leadership, but always with a deep sense of responsibility. This includes making difficult decisions, distancing yourself from negative or toxic people, and knowing when to end partnerships that no longer serve your long-term goals and well-being. To be clear, this doesn't mean being cruel or cutthroat, but rather being firm and resolute in your principles and boundaries. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, we must strive to create real, lasting value in the world. This means gaining influence and relevance through tangible results and ethical actions, thereby building a solid foundation of trust and respect. Those who merely exploit and manipulate others for their own gain may rise quickly in the short term, but they almost always tend to fall from grace just as rapidly in the end. If you've watched until the end, I'm sure you'll also enjoy my last video that is appearing on your screen now. See you next time.